When I was 10, I was the fat kid, with glasses and crooked teeth, and I could read novels, ride ponies, and play the cello. None of these things makes you popular in middle school, so 2 years later I had as much fun mocking the girl who wore horse-themed t-shirts to school as I'd once had picking them out. I was brutal. In that time I turned sandals to high heels and 4 feet of hair to 2 with unabashed cruelty towards the friends I used to look like, who still thanked me for the losses of their virginities like I had been the one to hold them down. But sometimes, with no one watching, I pulled my cello to my chest like a long-lost child and played Messiah. My favorite piece was called Quartet for the End of Time, and all the emo kids in the world could not have matched the fervor with which I played. I played like I knew enough about time to understand its absence. See, I played everything but Bach. To me, he seemed like a pedantic school teacher full of steady beats and mindless repetitions. There's only so many ways to elaborate a theme, and I never really liked remixes much anyway. I did not understand until I lost my father. He is not dead. I lost him years ago. Him 70, me 14. We tried to bridge the gap with circling steps and cautious advances, but when his hands were stung by the open palms of my adolescence, he slowly stopped reaching. For me, and for the distant truth of my mother who had grown into a tree when he thought he married a sapling, he found another woman. And I slipped into the shadow of his new daughter, whose embarrassed tears at his insistence at cheering for her soccer games were the same salt that fell when he never came to any of mine. I lost him the first time I swore at dinner and the last time I saw him, sitting long-sleeved and quiet, knowing I could tell him, yes, I am happy, but I could not tell him why. Tell him I loved how we used to dance, and all I really want from him is that story he made up for me in Rome where I'm wandering the catacombs of the great cathedral. If I heard it again, maybe I would stop searching for him in the stones. These are the variations of my father. How he sang like the air was on fire and his throat was water. How he could imitate Elmo from Sesame Street, then mock an effeminate voice to its owner's face. How I loved him like you can love the ground when you're falling from the sky. Like I was willing to destroy myself if only to bring him closer. He was my theme. And sometimes, with no one watching, I pull my cello to my chest like it was him. And when I play Bach, the notes spill out into 1,000 repetitions of the history that could have gone so many ways until returning to the beginning. Like coming back to the burned foundation of the house you grew up in and lying in its ashes, I play for the lost infinity of my father, and I understand. And maybe that is the one thing that could have made him proud. My father came to a poetry slam once, and he hit on the young woman that I was sitting next to, and it was uncomfortable, and then I left. The end. It's also, I don't think luckily my father's from that generation that never really knew how to use the internet and refuses to try because, pirate ships, and that's what this is, by the way, pirate ships and anchors and YouTube, really. Not ready to cut off the spending just yet. Not ready to cut off those little checks that come every once in a while from my father. This is a fucked up poem. Yes. I have my set list written on my wrist. I don't have like a nervous tick. It's very faint though. Yeah, pretty much the rest of my set's fucked up. Just as a warning. It'll be fun. After the show, you can tell me all about it. Right over there, with my CDs.
Okay.
I generally don't pimp this much, because generally I can look out and feel ashamed, but really the Technicolor people, it's just... there's no judgment for my shirt. That shirt's not judging me. It's just sitting there with a person in it somewhere that I can't see very well. Same with the collar and the shoelaces and the other things that I can identify. The woman who loved Hyde did not find his body when he killed himself. This is not that kind of story. If it was, she would not have cried. She always loved the demon, not the flesh, the thrill of unknown countries, and they fought like soldiers. These final thrusts before dying, his worn crucifix tracing skin where he tasted her, dried blood under his nails that she licked away, his satyr stare, he fucked her with the dull knife. Bit raw crescents into the sinews of her thighs, she sank her nails tip deep into his back and pinched his perineum in her teeth like a plum. She didn't ask about the lock on the bathroom or the fist-sized bruises on his legs, and she told him he was the only person she had ever been honest with. The things she couldn't admit to taking pleasure in, and the way she often lay quietly in the dark, envying him not for the way he was absolved of all his sins for his nature, but for the hole where compassion should have lived. The woman who loved Hyde never spoke to his Jekyll, the island of conscience pressed between the stones of his heart. She walked away when he sometimes wept, crying out that he never meant to hurt anyone except maybe himself, and held his hands down when he tried to beat himself bloody in penance for crimes she wished she had committed. To her, he was a free man left to act upon the world like a force of nature, making a road through the city by walking on bodies while other people floundered for purchase. She often wondered if he would kill her, but always tried to think instead of dinners out while his eyes roamed the crowd for offending prey and sex, smelling of sweat and dust and copper. He left while she was out, vanished into the cracks of the city with no trail or explanation, and she sat in his empty rooms searching for trash. Carpet fibers or papers, envelopes or dirty rags, anything that she could keep with her forever. Leaving her pockets full of nails, she remembered that once she walked in early, the woman in the tub still alive, duct-taped and wide-eyed with hope. Later, washing her off her hands, she told Hyde that honesty is not about good but about truth, and at least in truth, there is no loneliness.